Hi guys, my name's Lee. I'm an archery instructor at the Arms of Old Archery Centre. Do you know, one of the questions I'm always asked is, what is it that makes someone really good with a bow in their hands? Well, the thing is, guys, there's no secret to this. It's not any one thing, is what I would say to you. It's a combination of a few skills coming together, and you need to understand this. A lot of people go and join an archery club, and really all they learn, if you're lucky, is how to shoot a bow well. And whilst shooting a bow well is a very important part of being successful with a bow, having a very good technique, it's an integral part of shooting well. Knowing how to shoot well is, it's not the beginning and end all of being successful with a bow. There's other things that come into play here. Obviously, your arrows, a very, very important part of shooting well, and a lot of people sort of don't pay and put the amount of attention into their arrows as they should do. You don't just go into an archery shop and buy a set of arrows and say, well, those look really sexy, I'll have those ones there, the colours are fantastic, or whatever it may be. You need to understand that there is a process of making sure that the arrows actually complement your bow. In other words, the arrows are matched to your bow's draw weight and possibly even the type of bow that you're shooting. An arrow flexes as it leaves a bow, and it's important to understand that the way the arrow flexes will ensure how well that arrow is probably going to fly to its target. If an arrow is too stiff, they're not going to fly very well. Likewise, if an arrow is too weak in flight, they won't fly very well. So there is a process that you have to sort of go through and understand, and making sure you're selecting the right arrows for you and the bow. Very important part. I would go so far sometimes to say that the arrows are actually the most important part of your equipment. So that's very important. We run arrow making courses here, and I can teach you how to make aluminium arrows for yourself and how to select them. Wooden arrows, very important. Aluminium and carbon, obviously, they're a bit easier because aluminium and carbon are obviously man-made materials. So as long as you know what arrows you want and making sure you've got the right arrows in terms of the draw weight that you're pulling on your bow, putting them together is a fairly straightforward process. Wooden arrows, however, there's a bit more skill that goes into wooden arrows because obviously that's a natural material, and you have to understand that selecting quality shafts for yourself, knowing how to match wooden arrows up to each other, and again making sure that they complement the draw weight of your bow. It's not rocket science. We run courses here. It's about 4 hours, and I can teach you how to make some beautiful arrows in about 4 hours. Top end arrows that will certainly, you'll be winning medals with them. So arrow making obviously is very important. If you want any more information about making arrows and doing arrow making courses, because it's great fun, just give us a ring, and obviously we'll get you booked in. Another important part, obviously, of shooting very well, as I said, technique's very important, and it's not how much money you spend on a bow. A lot of people say to me, best bow that money can buy, and I'll probably shoot better. I want a really good quality bow. Whilst I would go to, and there are attributes to be had by having a very nice bow. They're smoother, faster, aesthetically they're going to look nicer, but you certainly don't need an expensive bow to shoot very well. What's important about your bow is understanding a bow is a bit like a musical instrument, okay, and it needs to be set up and it needs to be tuned in. I would much rather have a cheap bow that was tuned in than an expensive one that wasn't. And again, it's a little bit of knowledge. If you understand how to tune a bow in and how to set the thing up, on top of that, you've got quality arrows. You're making quality arrows at home. You've got the ingredients to shoot very well. The only thing you've got to worry about after that, obviously, is your technique. Get that squared away. Get someone who knows what they're doing to teach you to shoot very well, and you'll be golden. Absolutely, you'll be out there. So as I said, it's not any one thing that makes someone really good with a bow. These people that go out and shoot very well, and other guys and ladies look at them and think, they just can't be beaten. You have to understand it isn't any one thing. It's an accumulation of all these skills coming together on the day. You end up with a lady or a guy that's got a very good technique. He's been taught to shoot very well. It's well rehearsed because he practices on a fairly regular basis. On top of that, he understands, as I said, arrows. He understands how to make and select quality arrows for himself. And again, not necessarily has he got a very expensive bow in his hands, but he understands how to tune that bow in and how to set it up. Now, I'm not going to say that you're going to go out next weekend and start winning medals, but I can tell you this, you're going to be a real pain to try and beat as long as you stay focused and you're not getting too flustered that you're competing against maybe 100 other people, the chances are you're going to shoot very well and you're going to come in with a pretty big score. Okay, so any more details, if you'd like to find out any more about the courses that we run here, just give us a ring. The number is 01 409 231 171. Look forward to seeing you guys, and keep the good work up. Hi guys, it's Lee. I'm an archery instructor at the Arms of Old Archery Centre. I made a video a little while ago just talking about, the fundamentals of good archery. Really, it was only a brief one, and I've had a few people ring me recently, really interested about this whole arrow making thing and what's involved with it, and how much it's all going to cost. It's not actually that expensive, and as I say, we run courses here which is about 4 hours long, teach you how to select really good quality arrows for yourself and how to build them and put them together. In actual fact, what I would say to you, these days arrows are getting quite expensive, and if you come up here and actually do the arrow making course, by the time you've certainly made your second set of arrows, the course would have paid for itself. It really would have done. So it's certainly cost effective to learn how to make your own arrows, and apart from anything else, it is great fun. The majority of people coming to me in Hazel tend to shoot wooden arrows because obviously we specialise in the more traditional bows. We've certainly got aluminium and carbon here. Even a lot of the traditional guys will shoot aluminium and carbon arrows off their bows. The vast majority of them do shoot wood, but you can certainly shoot aluminium and carbon. They're more durable, and some people would argue that they're faster and more accurate. Well, that's a bit debatable. There's so many variables that go into an archery shot. The fact that you're shooting aluminium carbon, in certain cases, I would say yes, they are an advantage. They certainly are more durable than the wooden ones. But the bottom line is, if you're dissecting this, yes, aluminium and carbon are going to be more consistent, simply because they're a man-made material. An aluminium shaft is an exact copy of the next one coming off the production line. Whereas your wooden arrows, obviously, that's natural materials, and there is always going to be slight inconsistencies with wooden arrows. But don't be eluded here by thinking, well, I'd have to shoot aluminium or carbon arrows. You certainly wouldn't. As I said, there's so many variables that go into an archery shot. Your arrows, whilst they are an integral part of shooting very well, don't think for a moment that someone who knows what they're doing and who's got a very good technique, who may be shooting wooden arrows, they can certainly hold their own against someone shooting a set of allies or maybe even carbons. Wooden arrows can shoot very, very well, but there is a process that you do need to understand that goes into selecting wooden shafts, especially if you're going to try and make really good ones for yourself. It's not overly expensive. The things you're going to need here, a jig is absolutely fundamental. You'd need a jig, not overly expensive. A jig like that probably costs you about £30. You need some glue. Obviously they're out to glue your fletchings and your nocks in. Selecting the fletchings and the nocks that you might want, they're not overly expensive. The pile, obviously, depending on what weight you want, you might want a field point or more of a target point there, because there's hundreds of different types of piles that you might want for your arrows. A good hacksaw blade is very important. You're going to need a tapering tool. They're only about £5 or £6 there. So relatively cheap to get yourself started. Obviously, you're going to need a set of shafts here, and we can show you how to select quality shafts. This instrument on my left hand side, this is what we call a spine tester, and basically what that instrument's doing there is it's measuring how much flex there is in a shaft at any point. Someone like myself who's making a lot of arrows for customers, very important thing to have. Someone like you, you could certainly have one. They're quite expensive. You probably wouldn't need one though, to be honest with you, not unless you was sort of mass producing arrows. So there's something you could probably do without. That one right there on the right hand side, that's a cresting tool, and if you're into sort of decorating the arrows and painting them, you can see this one here, absolutely gorgeous arrow. A cresting tool could be a very handy thing to have, but again they're quite expensive. I can certainly show you how to paint them and do the artwork on your arrows without having to spend the sort of money you might want on a cresting tool. That one came from America. They're quite expensive. But the fundamental things that you guys would need would be a jig. You're going to need a tapering tool, good hacksaw blade, and the various glues that you're going to need to put the arrows together once you've selected them, whether it be carbon or aluminium, and obviously the fletchings and the piles and the knock that go into making the arrow up. The gas burner here, probably for your wooden arrows you wouldn't need that really. They're quite handy to have if you want to burn the pile off and change the arrowhead weight, because that can change the way the arrow's going to fly. But there are other ways of getting those off without having to invest in buying yourself a little Bunsen burner. I mean, most people have probably got one in your shed anyway. But when it comes to making your aluminium arrows, the old burner there can be quite a handy tool to have, so you probably want one of those. But, you know, overall, you're probably, in terms of all the equipment that you'd want to make your arrows, I don't know, £50, £55, £60, you probably would cover everything that you'd need. And then obviously you've got to get your shafts and your fletchings and what have you. But guys, ladies, if you're interested in making arrows, and it is great fun, it's something the whole family can get into, give us a ring on 01409 231 171 and we'll get you started. I can guarantee you'll enjoy the morning with us and you'll learn loads. Okay, look forward to seeing you guys. Yeah, we got a little bit of wind out there today. There you go, a little bit to the left I think. Bring it over a bit. Oh, come on. That's the one. Well guys, I tell you, that is a lot of fun. I could do that all day long. If you would like to learn to shoot a bow, you know, really well, then give us a ring at the Archery Centre. We specialise in traditional bows, like the American flat bow here. Loads of fun. And come up and spend maybe a morning with us and we'll get you shooting, hopefully, just as good as that. Okay, it's not that complicated. There's a fair bit that goes into a shot, but I can soon explain it all to you. Alright, so come along and see us at the Archery Centre in North Devon. We look forward to having you up for the morning. Hi guys, what can I say? Crossbows, just loads and loads of fun. But we are dedicated here at Arms of Old in teaching people responsibilities that come with owning a crossbow. As of course you already know, they can be deadly weapons, especially some of these more modern crossbows, and the sort of power and the arrow speed that they generate can be deadly. So if you're ever interested in using crossbows, we do a morning's course that cover the crossbows. It's going to cover the law and crossbows, handling and safety of crossbows, because you can hurt yourself if you don't know what you're doing with a crossbow, as well as being a danger to others. So we do pay an awful lot of attention to safety when it comes with crossbows. We talk about the accessories that you can put on them, bipods, scopes, etc. Competitive crossbow shooting and the rules under the NFAS. What you can and can't do if you wanted to get into competitive crossbow shooting. It's an awful lot of fun. So if you're interested and you would like to find out more about the crossbows, then give us a ring at the Archery Centre, Arms of Old in North Devon. Telephone number is 01409 231 171 and we'll get you started with a crossbow.